The US and Canada share the world's largest trading partnership, with over $1 trillion in goods and services crisscrossing the border every year. For Canada, the US is its biggest trading partner, with roughly 75% of Canadian exports heading south, while around 50% of Canada's imports originate from the US. From automobiles to energy, agriculture to technology, the two economies are deeply intertwined. Now, you might think this level of economic interdependence would foster mutual respect and understanding. You'd be wrong. Enter Donald J. Trump with his unique brand of economic diplomacy, which can best be described as aggressive negotiation, or more accurately, bullying with tariffs. Trump has repeatedly taken aim at Canada, accusing it of unfair trade practices and taking advantage of the United States. But here's the thing, folks. Trump's claims about the US-Canada trade relationship are about as accurate as a weather forecast in a hurricane. So buckle up as we delve into the murky waters of trade deficits, debunk some persistent myths, and explore how Canada can chart a more independent economic course in an increasingly volatile world. One of Trump's favorite talking points is that the US subsidizes Canada to the tune of billions of dollars.
We are subsidizing Canada to the tune of over $100 billion a year.
But this statement requires a fact check. The US isn't writing a check to Canada every year. The reality is far more nuanced. Yes, the US has a trade deficit in goods, but a surplus in services. Trade is not a zero-sum game. Both countries benefit from this exchange, so the next time you hear someone parrot this line, you can confidently inform them that they've been duped. Canada is a major player in the global resource market, sitting on a potential gold mine, both literally and figuratively. Vast reserves of natural resources could transform Canada's economy. Canada has the world's third largest proven oil reserves. Much of this oil is in the oil sands, requiring complex extraction. Canada exports crude oil to the US and imports refined products. Canada is the world's top uranium producer. Demand for uranium is projected to soar. Canada has significant deposits of rare earth minerals. These minerals are currently dominated by China. Canada hasn't fully capitalized on its resource wealth. It exports raw materials and imports finished goods. This leaves Canada vulnerable to global commodity price fluctuations. Now, it's not just external factors like Trump's trade wars that are holding Canada back. The country also faces a number of internal challenges that hinder its economic growth and competitiveness. These challenges are like speed bumps on the road to prosperity, slowing Canada down and preventing it from reaching its full potential. One of the most glaring issues is the lack of adequate infrastructure. Canada is a vast country with a relatively small and dispersed population. This geographic reality necessitates a robust and efficient transportation network to connect businesses and consumers across the country. However, Canada's infrastructure has fallen behind, particularly when it comes to transportation and energy. We're talking about a patchwork of aging roads, railways and pipelines that struggle to keep up with the demands of a modern economy. The lack of efficient transportation links drives up costs for businesses, making Canadian goods less competitive in the global market. Adding to these woes are internal trade barriers between provinces. It's easier to trade goods between Canada and the European Union than it is to move them between some Canadian provinces. This bureaucratic nightmare stifles innovation, limits competition, and makes it harder for Canadian businesses to achieve economies of scale. So how can Canada overcome these challenges and chart a path toward greater economic independence? Well, it might be helpful to look at a country that has successfully navigated similar challenges, the United Arab Emirates. The UAE, like Canada, is blessed with abundant oil reserves. However, unlike Canada, the UAE recognized early on that relying solely on oil would be a risky long-term strategy. So they embarked on an ambitious plan to diversify their economy, investing heavily in sectors like tourism, finance, and technology. The results have been nothing short of remarkable. Dubai, once a sleepy trading post, has transformed itself into a global hub for commerce, tourism, and innovation. The UAE has become a model for other resource-rich countries looking to break free from the boom and bust cycle of commodity dependence. Canada can learn a lot from the UAE's diversification success story. Instead of simply exporting its raw materials, Canada can focus on developing downstream industries that add value to these resources. For example, instead of shipping all of its crude oil to the US, Canada can invest in building more refineries to process oil domestically. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, or rather the bellowing orange-hued mammoth Donald Trump's 51st state comment. In one of his more, shall we say, diplomatically challenged moments, Trump suggested that Canada would be better off becoming part of the US.
I called him Governor Trudeau because they should be the 51st state, really. It would make a great state. And
needless to say, this comment didn't exactly go down well in Canada. It was seen as a deeply disrespectful and insulting remark, highlighting Canada's perceived economic dependence on the US. However, Trump's 51st state comment also served as a wake-up call for many Canadians. It underscored the need for Canada to chart a more independent course, one that reduces its reliance on the US and strengthens its economic sovereignty. So, what can Canada do to achieve this economic independence and, more importantly, make Trump eat his words? Well, for starters, Canada can start by investing heavily in its domestic industries. This means supporting Canadian businesses, fostering innovation, and creating a more competitive business environment. Next, Canada needs to get serious about eliminating those pesky inter-provincial trade barriers that are holding back its economy. It's time to streamline regulations, harmonize standards, and create a truly integrated Canadian market. And let's not forget about infrastructure. Canada needs to invest in world-class transportation and energy infrastructure to connect its businesses and communities and enhance its competitiveness in the global marketplace. Finally, Canada needs to diversify its trade partners. While the US will likely remain Canada's largest trading partner for the foreseeable future, Canada can't afford to put all its eggs in one basket. It needs to strengthen ties with other countries and explore new markets for its goods and services. By taking these steps, Canada can reduce its economic dependence on the US, strengthen its economic sovereignty, and ensure that Trump's 51st state comment remains nothing more than a bad joke.